Hey, Facebook friends. Just back today from the Family Online Safety Institute conference, FOSI as we all know it. Great event. It's being streamed live. We'll put the comments, the link to that in the comments here so you can peek in. We released together with FOSI a report, Kids and the Connected Home, Dolls, Talking Dinosaurs, and Battling Robots. Why do we do this other than we like having a good excuse to go out and buy a lot of connected toys and play with them and learn about them, which is actually a lot of fun. But the reason we did it is because many of these toys have sensors, they've got video cameras, they listen with microphones because you can speak and get them to respond. Data is being sent to remote cloud servers, so not a big surprise that those of us who are excited about these toys for what they can do, helping kids learn, entertain them, get them to look up from their phones and their tablets, where they seem to be spending all their time, and have a more interactive time. But what about the data questions? So we took a look. And the first question, of course, was, does COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, provide protections for this data? We know about COPPA typically because of websites and apps. We know that we are asked permission if we're going to share information. If a child under 13 is going to be interacting, they need to get verified parental consent. What about a robot? What about a doll? Well, the good news is that COPPA captures online services that connect to the internet. In most cases, the reason these toys are so smart is they're connected to the internet, to cloud servers. They are covered by COPPA. That's been a concern. Senator Warner even wrote to the Federal Trade Commission asking the FTC whether it believed that these were subject to COPPA's protections, and the good news is yes. But the second question that comes up is, well, you can go to a screen when you're signing your kid up for a website or an app, and you could give permission, you can put in your credit card, you can put in information to verify that you were an adult and a parent. Where's the teddy bear screen? These devices very often don't have screens. Well, what we found is that most of these devices actually have an associated app because that's how they get configured to get on the internet. Or if you're going to create an account and personalize and do anything more, they've got an app. So that app is certainly subject to COPPA, but the entire device is subject to COPPA because it's working with this app to connect to the internet, and there's an easy way for parents to give permission directly. Not every one of these toys needs to connect to the internet to be smart. We should regularly divide in our consideration between smart and connected. There are plenty of smart toys that use real sophisticated processors and the many sensors that they have on them to interact in a very sophisticated way. If some of you saw an earlier video I posted where Chip, the interactive robot dog that I took home and my kids were playing with, he does yoga, he follows you around, he responds to basic commands to sit and lay down, he can go fetch a ball. And when he's running low on power, which is really cool, you don't have to remember to charge him up, he knows that he's low on power, and he scoots himself over to his base station and lowers his little tush and charges himself back up until he's ready to play again. So that's kind of cool, and I thought a lot of fun. But he doesn't connect to the internet. You know, in some way, technology in toys is nothing brand new. We all remember the pull-string dolls that spoke, games that, if you got the right answer, buzzed or beeped, dolls that peed when you laid them down, or that said their name. What's different is the power of the processing that is available locally and the many sensors. Those toys are not covered by COPPA. They're not sending data to some remote server. That doesn't mean there aren't sociological issues. What does it mean for your child to be interacting with some new best friend? There's a great book for those of you who really want to enjoy something called Speak, that among its other storylines includes a guy who was in jail because he created an artificial intelligence that he, to impress his daughter, put in dolls, and then dolls that became very popular, and they were so wonderful and so smart. Every kid got them almost at birth, and it was like having a twin. This was a friend always ready, always knowing you, always ready to entertain and engage. And kids stopped interacting with other kids or their parents. All they wanted to do is spend their time, with this doll. It sounds absurd, but look at us walking around and staring at our phones. Can you imagine if they were a little more huggable and cute and actually interacted with us in a loving way, and society realizes the danger, and they take the dolls away, and all the kids become they're disabled all of a sudden. They've been emotionally bonded to these dolls for 10, 15 years. Their best friend, their loving family member is taken away from them, and the kids become disabled. They're in wheelchairs. They're almost autistic. They're not interacting. They're not responding to social cues, and he ends up being put in jail. So I don't know that we're heading there, and I'm not worried about that. I just want to make it clear that just because it's not covered by COPPA doesn't mean we ought not to be debating whether these things are good for us and the social values and the assistance they can provide. When they are, however, connected, now, again, not just connected locally to each other. Those aren't going to be covered by COPPA. They're not connected to the internet. They might be using Bluetooth. They might be remotely controlled. But when they get on the internet and start interacting with TCP/IP or other protocols like that, that's when COPPA kicks in. Now, why do we need all these toys connecting to the cloud? Somebody asked me. Why do I need that? What is a cloud? What's the cloud doing for me? If we want speech recognition to work and to progress, and we want it to know not just easy speech, we want it to know my fast-talking Brooklyn accent, kids with different languages, kids with different speaking styles, kids with disabilities, somebody with a speech defect. The power of the cloud and the processing and the learning is what enables that sort of recognition to improve. If you've ever used OK Google recently, you've seen how incredibly it has progressed. And I can talk like this, yak, 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 and somehow Google has learned my intonations and is almost invariably accurate in responding. So COPPA covers these connected toys in many cases when they're connected to the internet, when the data is collected from a kid. So if I create an account and I put in my kid's information, that's not covered by COPPA. COPPA tries to make sure that kids don't have their data collected without you being in the middle. Does having a small screen make a big problem? So far, not. The lack of a screen, people are relying on apps, and they're getting parental consent. Now, what about the devices like the Amazon Echo or Google Home? They're really general devices. They're not captured by COPPA. But what if a kid's in the room? And again, COPPA has often recognized that there are websites, there are places that are aimed at adults where kids show up. Do we want to force everybody, every user, to have to constantly sign in and prove that they're an adult in order to turn on their TV, to interact with their Echo, to interact with an app? No, we don't. Congress believed, and the FTC has supported the notion that that is an unfair burden. Now, if a service knows that it's dealing with a kid, even though it's an adult service, even though it's a general audience service, right? Like it asks your age, then you're captured. So do these home devices, which are listening to me and responding when they're active, are they able to differentiate between a kid and an adult? And at this point, no. These are using speech recognition, not voice recognition. Really hard to determine this is a 9-year-old voice. It could be a squeaky voiced boy, it could be a husky voiced girl, it could be a 14-year-old, it could be a high voiced woman. These are not biometric identifications at this point. And today, the services, the home smart devices, do not have actual knowledge that they're dealing with a child. Now, it may be at some point, and frankly, I hope they do get there, because if one of my friends comes into my house today, he can talk to my Echo, he can talk to my Google Smart Home, and it doesn't know that it's not me. Maybe my wife, my kids, maybe we should all have different accounts that would be recognized by our voice. Maybe if I'm somebody with a disability and I'm using this tool to control my window shades, to unlock the door, to control my appliances, and there are multiple people in the household, you can clearly see why you would want it to have different controls and different maybe permissions for kids or for different users. But that technology is not there yet. Maybe it will be there one day and we'll have our own accounts, at which point, of course, we'll have to collect kids' accounts. Let's talk about one area where we think companies could improve. When you go to a website that is aimed at kids, before you put in information if you're a child, that's where you've got to go get that parental consent. I buy maybe a connected toy in the store. I'm looking at the box on the shelf. I bring it home. If it now wants permission and I'm like, oh, I didn't really want to create an account and share my kid's data. Well, my kid is sitting there saying, hey, make it work, Dad. What do you mean? Right? I don't really have a choice. I need to know when I'm purchasing this in the store. Now, some of my industry friends will say, whoa, you're going to want a privacy policy on a box in a store? No, we can figure this out, right? Fisher-Price has one of its smart bears has a little label in the box that says, hey, Mom and Dad, no personal information. Oh, isn't that cool? That is cool. But let's say you are collecting personal information. Why not say something like account creation and data about your child will help this toy personalize its activities, right? Say it in a nice way. Say it in a way that's meaningful, but that lets the parent know, just like batteries aren't included, or hey, the entire castle isn't included when you're buying this little doll. If I'm going to have to create an account that's going to capture sensitive information about my kid and send it to some remote place, give me some cue when I'm making a decision about buying that. Okay, final key point, security. We all saw the stories of DDoS attacks, denial of services attacks that were using home devices. Well, you certainly don't want your kid's smart doll to be attacking the neighbors or be part of a botnet that's out there doing mischief on the internet, and it's coming from the smart toys that are on your home network. So manufacturers, you got to get it right here, right? Don't ship everything with a password that cannot be changed. Don't use one default password so these remote folks can get in there. Don't allow remote updates to that device. Make sure that only whitelisted IP addresses or that signed certificates are used so that the bad actor can update your toy and give it some new powers and capabilities and have it start spying or misbehaving. Many more privacy tips, many more security tips in Kids and the Connected Home. Please download the report. Let us know your thoughts. There's some key issues here that industry actors may want to work with, and parents and folks who care about kid safety. Thanks to the great team at FOSI who worked with the FPF team on putting this together. And don't forget, if you got some time today, check out the live stream. FOSI's got an incredible agenda. It was great to be part of it, but it's going on, and they've got one great session after another. See you guys soon.